Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hope you're having a good week. I know I'm having a good one. Get to play a little golf tomorrow. Played a little golf on Tuesday. So it's been a good week. Playing some golf is never a bad thing. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you know it's brought to you by Titleist and the new TSR Woods. Listen, the hours have been put in. The work has been done. As the moment approaches, you either fear it or you feel it. For Titleist, it's a moment filled with pure anticipation. The culmination of a relentless pursuit of speed in every form. So step up and settle in with confidence. The Titleist TSR is here. The new TSR drivers take everything that made TSI the #1 driver on tour and pack even more performance into every head. From new face technologies to CG improvements and aerodynamic refinements, when everything moves the needle, you're playing at Titleist speed. Go to Titleist.com to learn more about the TSR metals and to schedule your fitting today. Titleist TSR, find your faster. So, funny, we were talking about TSR. I was actually doing a bunch of testing last week, or hitting a bunch of balls last week, and TSR was one of the heads. I was kind of going back and forth and hitting a bunch of different stuff, and TSR was one of the heads that was kind of going with that Mitsubishi, the new 1K Pro Blue. I was hitting the TSR head. I was hitting it in the TaylorMade Stealth 2 head, or Stealth 2 Plus. So just hitting that stuff a lot, and it was really good. So I've been doing a lot of testing, a lot of swapping stuff out, a lot of different clubs going in the bag, and it's just been a good time. So this week, I played on Tuesday. I subbed to my buddy John. Asked me to sub in his league, so played there and didn't. Man, I tell you what, it was interesting. Hit some good shots, and I couldn't chip to save my life. I just had no wedge game whatsoever. The rest of it was doing pretty well. I actually made a few putts for par and stuff, but I shot 40 at of course, if you're a Metro Detroit person, it's called Maple Lane. That's it's an interesting place. It's got like 318s, and it's kind of a shooting gallery. Wherever you're playing, you can definitely get hit by a golf ball, and somebody's yelling for somewhere on the course. So it's an interesting place, but we had a lot of fun, and I subbed over there. I've subbed for him a few times here and there, depending on when they need guys. And we went and played, and it was an interesting matchup. The two people we were supposed to play weren't there, and I think it was something like we were a combined handicap of 11 for 9 holes. He's a 7. I was a 4 in that league. And then we were supposed to play these two women in the league who unfortunately had something else going on, so we didn't play them. But they were a combined 36, so 25 strokes between them and us. We had to give them, and the way it was out is, I guess they basically had their kind of handicaps, whatever their score on the card already, of playing, I guess to their handicap plus something or minus something, whatever. And it was a tall task, and I think we actually came out ahead on that one, which is pretty interesting. We played pretty decent. I shot 40, he shot 41. Both played really well. Played pretty well. I couldn't hit a wedge close to save my life. Everything, for whatever reason, I was. And maybe the greens are actually probably some of the faster they've ever been, but they're never super super fast. Like, they're not crazy fast. They're no Augusta, anything like that. But they're rolling pretty good. For that course, and for whatever reason, I would, the first hole, I topped my drive. I hit it like 60 yards. I had I hit it a little farther than that. I hit it 100 yards, and I had 220 into the hole or something like that. I hit 7 wood, hit it a little thin, and hit it over the green, and not by much, by just a couple yards. Go to chip it on, and I just absolutely decelerate and get it on the green, but I've got 20 feet downhill, and I make it for par. So I'm like, okay, well, I got out of the woods there, but all day I had these wedge shots that I just could not get close. I had one where I hit a great drive right down the middle. I had 80 yards, I think, to the pin, which was in the middle, and I hit this weak floater little fade thing that just ended up like on the right front of the green, like just in front of the right front of the green. I did hit the green from 80 yards, and I was like, this is just atrocious. So I don't know why I had no confidence in hitting wedges that day, but I didn't. So, but it was a lot of fun. We had a good time, and played with 2 other guys who we weren't playing against, but had fun playing with them. Overall, just a good day playing some golf. I was out there with what did I have out there? I had the the Cobra King Tour irons that I have not reshafted yet. I just got my Axioms in the end of last week, so those are here. I just haven't decided what iron heads they're going in. So my Axiom iron shafts are here. Super excited. I'm kind of excited to build them because it's kind of a different build system where it's usually most graphite shafts, like a traditional one, you basically get like I think it's like a 40 or 42 inch blank. It's like a 2-iron blank, and they're all built off 2 irons, and you tip everything accordingly. So the 2-iron you tip nothing, 1/2 inch for 3-iron, 1 inch for 4, 1.5 for 5. You go down the line. By the end, you get to the wedges, you're tipping like 4 inches or something like that. But they're designed for that, and they're built for it. And this one here is basically, there's 3 different blanks. So there's a long, a mid, and a short. And so for me, playing 4-iron through wedge, I've got a 1 long for the 4-iron, which you'll tip, I think it's 1 inch. And then when you move into the 5-iron, you don't tip, because that's a mid, so that's an M. You don't tip it at all. So the 5 is 0, the 6 is 1/2 inch, 7 is 1 inch, and then you get into the short, and the same thing, you don't tip the 8-iron at all, it's 0, and then 9 is 1/2 inch, wedge is full inch. So a pretty interesting setup. It'll be fun to kind of put that together and just build something a little different and a little more fun. So I'm excited to do that. I just got to decide. I mean, the Mizar Tours to me make kind of the most sense. It seems to be the iron I'm playing the most. Seems to be the iron that kind of fits my game the best out of kind of the sets I have that I was going to put them in. I have the Ping I-230s, which I really like, but I as much as I love them and they're really forgiving and easy to hit and all that, I just don't hit them that great. I haven't played that great of golf with them. And then the King Tours, I played some really good golf. I've played some poor golf, but they tend to fit pretty well. And then the Mizar Tours, which I get a little bit of ball speed with. They look good from address. And then I've also got the PXG, the 0317 CBs, which I just actually put some new shafts in. So those probably, those aren't going to get the Axioms, I don't think. So those just I put some Project X60s in those. I felt like the True Temper Elevate 95s at 1/2 inch longer and all that, because PXG's specs are a little different, just didn't fit the game as well. So I just reshafted those using some new epoxy. Just started using some 3M Scotchwell DP8410 NS. So there's a DP810, which is what everybody uses on tour. Like that's the stuff in the tour trucks. That is the GOAT, like the silverback gorilla of epoxy for golf clubs, called DP810, made by 3M. You can go look it up. It's crazy expensive. It's like $50 for a 45 milliliter, dual tube. I think it's 1-to-1 mix, but it's the stuff that every tour thing uses, tour club, because it's just always consistent. It's really good. It's the sheer strength on it's really high. All that, like, it's just one of those things where they use the best because they can afford to use the best for those players. And I know guys have used it. There's still guys, I was, kind of doing some research, and guys still use it, and guys pay the money, and, they pay the $50 plus a tube, and you can get, from what I've heard, like a 50 milliliter, 45 to 50 milliliter, cartridge of it will get you, I've heard like 4 sets of irons or something like that, depending on how crazy you go and all that. But this DP8410 NS, is basically very similar in terms of specs. It's not. I think there's something about it where maybe the shear strength is just a hair lower, and it comes in kind of a bluish color where DP810 is black. But I mean, as long as you're wiping it off the clubs after you build them, the color really doesn't matter. It is kind of beaded, which it has these like kind of little beads in it that are meant for if it's used on surfaces that are like clamped together. It'll kind of keep some space where the epoxy stays in there. But in golf, that doesn't really make a huge difference. It is definitely a little thicker, and it definitely is a little more like stringy when you go to mix it and you go to like put some on, whatever. Like I use like an old school, like 2 old school pencils that I use to put epoxy in hosels and all that. It does a little stringy. It does want to hang on there and cling a little bit, and it's got a little bit of an odor to it. But so far, it seems to be decent. But I did those PXGs, that whole set with that stuff, and it gels pretty quick. I think it gels in like 11 minutes. So if you're doing a full set of irons, you better have everything laid out, ready to go, because you're probably not going to be able to do a full set with one big glob, which is fine for me because I usually build them individually. I mean, I've got a little epoxy gun now, shoot out just the amount I need, mix it up, do the club, set it aside, and then do the next one with that little gun. It's kind of like a trigger pull, and you just go. It's pretty simple. It's pretty nice. I had no real reason for changing. I know haven't got that question yet, but haven't really had a real reason for changing. I really wanted to try the DP810. But I wasn't going to spend the money, and then I found this, and I was like, you know what? I'm getting a little low on. I've been using like Brampton, I think it's called like Tour Set or something like that, and it's worked great. I've had zero failures. I've used it. I've ordered it a handful of times. It's worked really well. The Brampton stuff is really solid. I used to use GolfWorks epoxy before that. Never had a problem there as long as you mixed it well and you prepped the shafts and cleaned out the hosels well. I never had a problem, but for whatever reason, just wanted to try something different, something new. And I was wondering like if something like a cartridge, I would waste less, because with the Brampton one, I found that I'd mix way more than I need a lot of times. I just kind of haphazardly just shoot it out. I mean, I think it's like two 8-ounce bottles. You just kind of fire it out, and if there's extra, you don't care, and you just kind of waste a lot of it. And I was like, well, maybe with the cartridges, it'll be, I'll be a little more conservative, and I can kind of control how much of both parts come out and all that. So I guess that was my real reason for doing it. I don't really have another reason. Just wanted to try something different. So built my first set. Definitely a little smell to it, but it worked well. The stuff is thick. It's interesting because when you get it onto the shaft and into the hosel and stuff like that, it's definitely a thicker epoxy, and even using, God, it almost felt like too much. There's not a whole lot that squirts out of the top, like in between hosel and head. It stayed pretty much contained. There was only just a little bit of cleanup, which was nice. Stuff's so far looks pretty good. I did them. I don't know exactly, like I was reading on there, a lot of people say like 2 to 3 hours it's playable with this 8410 NS. They say, but I was kind of just feeling what was on my little, I used old magazines like GolfWorks catalogs, and you pour it on there and mix it, and then when you get a sheet full, you just peel it off. And I was leaving it up there, and it kind of felt a little, one or two of them felt a little bit tacky still, 2 to 3 hours in. So I didn't play those irons on Tuesday. I just decided I didn't want to risk it, but picked them up this morning when I came down into my office here, and they're rock solid. So they're ready to go. So they're going in. I threw them on the bending machine, made sure everything was loft and lie all set, and they were a touch upright because I didn't use like the PXG collared ferrules. I just didn't have any. I usually have some kind of in my parts bin, but I didn't at the moment. I haven't really shafted up a set of PXGs in a while. So I kind of set them, and they were a little bit upright. So I, bent them all back a little bit flat, and we're ready to go. So I put Project X60s in there that I've had success with before. Like I was saying, the elevates that I was playing before, I was just kind of inconsistent. When I hit them well, like I hit them good, and they went up high, and everything was fine. But I always had to remember to choke down. They're 1/2 inch long, all that, and I was like, well, if I'm going to cut them down, I'm going to have to like throw lead tape on the backs of them or something like that to get the swing weight right. So I was like, let's just rebuild them, and had a set of 6.0 pulls and just popped those in. Used really minimal tip weights so far, which is pretty cool. So I think the biggest one, pitching wedge, used a 6 gram tip weight. Everything else was a 2, and I think the 5 was a 4 gram. So really, really close. Didn't have to use a ton of tip weights, which is super nice, and or at least didn't have to use a bunch of big ones. I think every one of them had at least a small one, but I didn't have to bust into the 8 and 10 grammars, which is always kind of a bummer, because if you've ever built irons and you use a 10 gram tip weight, it goes so far up the shaft that you don't get the full 10 grams like on the swing weight scale. It doesn't kind of come out that way, and just using that, some people say it changes kind of the CG, the feel of the irons. I don't think I'm good enough to notice that, but I do notice that if you're trying to get like the full, say, 5 swing weight points out of a 10 gram tip weight, you're not going to get it. You're going to get like 4.5 or something like that. So glad I didn't have to use any big ones, and built them back to kind of a regular standard length. Basically built them off the length of Strixon irons, which is the last fit I did. Built them off that, so they're ready to go. They're in the bag. Everything's set. I've got the bag pretty much set up. I don't know What I'm going to do, driver or 3-wood at the moment. The 7-wood is kind of back in. I went, my boy Spencer over at Fujikura sent me a Fujikura Ventus TR Blue 8S, the stiff. Moved down to the stiff, didn't go with the X, but the 80 gram version. Sent me that for my 3-wood. He was nice enough to etch a little funny thing in the shaft as well. And then, but I've had that installed. I've been hitting it really, really well. So that is kind of been back in the bag. And I know I was saying earlier, if you listen to TG2, when Tursky and I were talking about our bags, I was said, about the 7-wood might be out. I'm going hybrid. I don't know. Maybe I'm going back 7-wood. I seem to be hitting enough poor drives where I need 220 into the green about, and 215-ish, 220 into the green. So it's kind of become a viable club lately, which is sad. But I'm hitting it really well. It's super easy to hit. Pink did a really good job with that 7-wood. So that there. And then I think I cut it to, I think it's 41 and a half. I think it's a half inch shorter than Ping specs. So I think theirs is 42. I think mine's 41 and a half inches. But I'm hitting it really well, and it's really good. I was a little nervous because I was hitting it good, and it had the Ping Tour Chrome 75X in it, and I was a little nervous, but I got the 8 stiff, and I tipped it. What is it? I think I think an inch and a quarter. Threw it in there, and it's been really, really good so far. So enjoying that. It's back. It's kind of staying in the bag. But irons are going to be the 317 CBs with the Project X60s. The wedges, right now, I threw in the kind of matching I'm kind of going the PXG iron set this week. Going with the Sugar Daddy 2 50-54. The 54 is, I think, bent to 55. And then I've got the Callaway Jaws Raw Full Toe 58 bent to 59 in the bag as well. So those are the iron, and the 4 irons that I cross over to the Ping, which has been really good. Even though I did take out the Cobra King Tech on Tuesday and hit it really solid, especially off the tee. I think I hit it off the tee most of the time because it's kind of a shorter course. You can get away with hitting like that 205 shot off the tee and still being able to play and having a short iron in. So I played that a lot and hit it really, really well. But the Ping's back in. Going then, the G437 wood, and then driver 3-wood are the two that I'm going to decide what I'm doing. I played on Tuesday. I played Stealth 2 Plus 10.5 with that Mitsubishi Tensei 1K Pro Blue 65X. I hit it really well. Hit some really good shots with it. I only used it, I think, 3 times, but all 3. I think on 18 I didn't hit an amazing shot. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of a little low. I won't say it was a ducker because it went a good ways, but it went a little bit left. And then the other 2 times I used it, I hit it great, right down the middle. So it was really good. But the only other thing was I was messing around last week when I had clubs out in my backyard and I was hitting in the net. I put the TR Blue in my TSR head and TR Blue 6X in the TSR head, and I was hitting that really good. So I guess we'll see. I don't know what I might take. Since I took the Stealth 2, I'll probably take the TSR out with the TR Blue in it and get that going. And then I've got 3-wood. I don't know if maybe I'll go Titleist on the top end and put the TSR 2 with the Ventus red in there. Or I had out the triple diamond on Tuesday and again hit that really good off the tee. Didn't have to hit it off the deck, but hit it really well off the tee. So I might take that out. But it might be maybe I go Titleist, or do I go with a Stealth 2? Stealth 2 Plus. Last time I took that out, I didn't hit it that great. Maybe I take out the standard Stealth 2. Or the HD, because I don't think I have a standard. I think I have a Plus and an HD. So maybe take out one of those. We haven't taken out those in a while, and go with that. And then putter, I can't talk about yet. You'll find out more on what putter on Friday, because right now the putter is non-released. There may be some photos of it floating around out there on the internet currently, because I think it was seen at a tour event recently, but I can't talk about what putter is going to go in there. I'm pretty excited. I was putting around with it down here, and I like it, so we'll see how it goes. The only downside to it is it's a single bend shaft, so if I do like it, it goes into the rotation. I can't upgrade the shaft in it. It's going to be kind of stuck as just being a steel shaft, which is a little bit of a bummer. But the nice thing is it's got a lambkin, deep edge cord on it, or all that, so we're ready to go. And ready to rock and roll with that. So we'll talk about putter probably next week, but got a new putter in there, and that should be pretty fun. So it should be a good week at league. So should be a nice night. It's supposed to be hot, kind of low 80s, and play some golf and have some fun. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been tinkering with. Like I said, that 1K Pro Blue is really good. I'm really liking that. It's a very good matchup to some of the Ventus stuff. And then I just got an email with somebody and have another, I think, driver shaft coming along as well to test out and to mess around with. So pretty excited to do that. Anytime there's new shafts coming, always excited to test them out. So got that coming. I won't, it's not under embargo. What it is coming. I mean, you can go online and buy one right now. They're available. But I think I'll keep it a little bit of a secret until I actually get it in, and you'll see the photos and all that. So yeah, been a good week there. I'm trying to think. Last week in the league, we get rained out. Yeah, I think we got rained out. Or we got rained out, but we played anyway. Yeah, we played anyway. So went out. Geez, I'm trying to think. Maybe it's like one of those. It's almost all running together. So last week we played, got rained out, or it was supposed to rain. We canceled the league. A bunch of us went and played anyway. We got through 7 holes before it actually started to rain. Then some lightning and some thunder hit. So they blew the horn, and some guys were going to wait it out. Some shelters out there at St. Clair Shores, but my buddy Ben and I were just like, you know what, we're just getting out of here. We're not going to wait. If it's 30 minutes an hour, we're not waiting. So we just drove our cart in. I actually didn't walk that day because I figured it was going to rain, and we got out of there. We hit the road. So we were gone, and yeah, but was that was a little bit of a struggle. I was making a lot of bogeys that day. Just couldn't get the butter, the ball in the hole. It wasn't hitting it bad, but just couldn't get in the hole. And then played so poorly on Saturday with my dad that it was also almost laughable, which it was, both of us played bad. So it was, neither one of us was taking it ourselves too seriously. We had some fun, even though we played terrible. And anytime you get to spend time with your dad on the course is always really, really good. So got to do that. And then I will play with him a bunch the week of 4th of July, so I'll be off that week. I'm still going to have a show. I'm wondering if I'll do it down at, last year, I think I did it down at my parents' place. I sat on the back porch and I think talked about wedges, but maybe I'll do one down there, or I'll record it, the week early or something like that. But anyway, played with him, and I've never seen so many strokes adjusted when you put in your score for your handicap. When I put in the GIN system, I think I had 5 strokes taken off. I shot 96. Most of that was the 2 par 5s, or 2 of the par 5s. I literally had, I think it was, on 11, I played terrible. 11, I'd hit, it was directly into the sun, so you couldn't see. I hit driver, and I thought I hit it decent, but I was like, I hit a little right, and my dad's like, that thing is 4 fairways over out of bounds right. And on the right is all trees. So it goes in the woods, and it's pretty much gone. So I was like, okay, I'll tee up another one. We were kind of waiting anyway. It's Father's Day. It wasn't moving fast. We the first 2 time off, we blew through the front 9, caught up to they were letting a bunch of 9-hole people play in the back. So we caught up to them and hit the next one. And I was like, that felt, pretty good. And my dad's like, that one's just as gone. Way right. Okay, so I'm like, what, screw it. I'm going to tee up another one. So I teed up a third one, hit it, and I was like, that one's not bad. My dad's like, that is riding the line. Like, that is going to be really close if it's actually in bounds or if it's not. And I was like, okay. Rode out there, never found it. Had to drop another one. Made it, I think, an 11 on that hole, which, again, does not let you make an 11. And then so that was on 11. And then on 15, I did almost the exact same thing. You got to hit it through a chute, hit the first 2, OB right, hit the other one finally down the left side, and it was a terrible drive. And then, played to the green, and I think I made 9 on that one or something like that. I mean, it was just insane. But it also goes to show you that courses that are tough like that, if you're not hitting driver well, it's such a huge penalty. Where those shots, okay, maybe not the 2 that were sliced 4 fairways over, even though I didn't see them, those might have been playable at St. Clair Shores or another course where it's wide open. those shots are dead. They're gone on some of these harder courses. So it's funny when you look at your handicap, and my handicap says I'm a 9.7 or something like that, and then I look and I'm like, well, I shot 96, and yeah, on an easy course I can go out and maybe play decent and put a decent score up, but on a tough track where you're gonna have to hit tee shots, you're gonna have to do things to make a score. Like, I'm not that good. I'm far worse than that. So the handicap has not gone up. Still says 9.7. Which I think is BS. I think that should go up a little further. But anyway, but we still had fun. We had a good time, and it was always, like I said before, always fun playing with your dad. So on Father's Day, and I know I had a fun time. He had a good time, and I know there's people out there who don't get that opportunity anymore. With fathers who have unfortunately moved on or whatever. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to do that. So anyway, I'll get into, after my rambling of tinkering and bad golf. I guess I'll get into, little review action. So, as we go down this road of high-end putter shafts, there is a brand new high-end putter shaft out on the market, and that would be KBS jumping into the arena. And I know if you're watching this on YouTube, seeing these shafts on here is like next to impossible. The camera just does not want to focus on them. But we got the KBS, their new shaft. So they've got the GPS, which stands for the Tour GPS, which stands for graphite putter shaft. So they made these. I've got the raw, just kind of black one here. They make a ton of colors in this thing, and the boys at KBS were very nice to send over a couple of them. But they're making like matte and gloss finish in I think every color, and they've got pink, yellow, green, a chrome one, so it kind of looks like steel. I mean, you name it, they've got a ton. And the one I was actually playing with, so that one's there because it's easier to hold. I put the red one in the old Tri-Hot 5K, which is kind of turned into my like testing putter. Like this is what all these shafts have kind of gone in. Everything's gone in here. I've got another putter shaft that I'm going to talk about either next week or the week after. It's actually not in this head. It was in this head. I moved it on to something else because I didn't putt well with it in this, so I moved on to a different putter. But I've got another putter shaft that we'll talk about in a week or so. But graphite putter shaft or the GPS from KBS Tour, really nice. I like that you have all the options for finishes, and it's pretty cool that they offer the chrome one. I haven't seen that one in person, but just a kind of a cool idea because not everybody is into colors and all that. I thought the red was pretty cool for this Odyssey because it kind of matches the little accents, the red swirls and stuff like that they have. And I think the shaft that came out of this, the Stroke Lab, was the red one with the steel tip. So I was like, it'll look pretty similar here, and it does. It looks really good. I think it matches up well. And this one here, 120 grams, so about the same as some of the other guys out there. I know there's some other companies that make a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter, but 120 grams, which is probably similar to most steel shafts that are in here. And it basically, KBS has, said it's made from high-end composite materials, and it's even got a layer in here that kind of enhances feel and removes some unwanted vibration. Now this thing is stiff, but it's not crazy stiff. Like when I think like the BGT stabilities are really, really stiff. The Fujikura MC extra firms are, I think the stiffest I've touched. The LA Golf's really stiff. I know I've only used that on a putting green at the PGA show, but really, really stiff. This one's got a little more play to it. It's not as crazy stout as you might think or might expect it to be. It's probably a little bit stiffer than a standard steel shaft, or definitely stiffer than the like a stock steel shaft that you get in a lot of putters. But it's not crazy stiff. It's still got a little bit of flex to it. And if you're using a really heavy head putter, you may notice a little more flex, but nothing crazy. Still definitely more stout than standard steel. And I like that. For me, I just don't like the feeling of putter shafts. Now the Stroke Labs are pretty darn good. I don't mind the Stroke Labs. They're a little bit stiffer, a little bit more stable. But like some of this really stock, cheap steel putter shafts that are just tossed into certain putters I just don't like the feel. I don't like the feel of that head like it's moving. And I know that it's a steel shaft. It doesn't have much torque, and the head is probably going to stay on line pretty well. I just don't like the feel of it. So that's my whole reason for liking these kind of higher end, stiffer, shafts. And I think a lot of them, especially the graphite stuff, does kind of soften the feel of the putter a little bit. And the Tour GPS, I think, is exactly that. It definitely, dampens some of that vibration, takes some of it away, but doesn't make it, where you don't know where you hit it. It doesn't make it too soft, doesn't make it marshmallowy. You can still definitely get a lot of good feedback off the putter with this shaft. Even something like this, which has an insert. And I will say, for having an insert, this 5K does have a pretty solid feel to it. It's a big, heavy head. I'm not sure what the exact weight is. When I pulled it, I should have weighed it. But I haven't pulled the weights out of it to see, but it definitely feels heavier than some of the other just stock putters I've been messing around with. But the KBS shaft in here worked really, really well. The GPS, I like the feel of it. I like that it has just a little bit of play. When you're hitting a longer putt, it doesn't feel crazy rigid. And on those long putts, the face and the head still feel like they are right with you, like they're exactly where they were when you took the club away. And if you bring it back on a good line, it's going to be right there. And it feels extremely tight. And there's no kind of, there's no feel of like the twisting or movement of the head, really. You get a little bit on long putts of the shaft flexing just a touch. It always seems to return back to square. And it's been really, really accurate. So between putting green, out on the course, all that, it's been really, really solid. I like the feel of it. The feel is just a little bit more muted. And when you take when you go to install one, if you buy it yourself and you install it, and again, I don't think this is going to come up on like YouTube here, but there's actually kind of a gray ring in the middle of it. As you look through kind of the layers of the graphite, there's an actual like kind of silver or grayish kind of layer. I'm trying to get this like on YouTube to show. If you want to watch on YouTube and check out me just holding products up, search Golf LibreX Radio, and you'll see my ugly mug. But there's a layer in there you can see, and I'm willing to bet. I remember when Fuji did the original MCI putter shafts, and they had a kind of a rubber layer, and it looked very similar. So I can't say that KBS is using rubber, but I bet that there's that layer in there is used to kind of dampen some of the vibration and kind of enhance some of the feel of this thing. But it does. It removes a little bit of it. The putter feels just a little bit softer. The vibration that kind of gets up to your hand just a little more muted. And I've used this putter head with, like at least 3 different shafts now. I think I've had the stock, what do you call it? The stock Stroke Lab, a standard steel shaft, and one of the brand new Nippon putter shafts, which I'll talk about in another show, because I've got 3 of them, so I'm kind of working through getting all 3 out there. And now, the KBS Tour. So I've used a bunch of different shafts in this thing, and honestly, between the 3 that I've used, this one does offer kind of the so far kind of the best balance of feel on it, with reducing a little bit of vibration, still letting you know, did you hit it off the toe, did you hit it off the heel, did you hit it a little low on the face, anything like that. So you're still going to get that feedback, but that little stiffer feel is always kind of nice. It gives you a feel that the putter is staying on line and the face is staying, pointing towards a target easier and longer than than with kind of a standard steel shaft. And I remember doing the first time I did a putter shaft, somebody was like, "Oh yeah, well Jack didn't have one. He still won 18 majors," and you're 100% right, he did. Is this something that you need to put in your putter? I don't know. I don't think you necessarily need to. Its price point is a little less than everybody else, in this same realm. So where most of these putter shafts are, over $200, some of them are pushing $400. This one's $150, which is still a lot for a putter shaft. If you think about it, the putter shaft is the putter is the most used club in the bag. Realistically, you're going to use it on every single hole, and so I guess putting a little bit of money into your putter, making it exactly what you want in terms of feel and performance, it makes it a little more understandable than putting a super high-end shaft in a 3-wood or something else. So this the GPS has been really, really good. I really do like it. I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't really know what to expect necessarily with it. But the 120 grams makes the putter feel pretty much just like the putter that it was before. With the Stroke Lab shaft, it didn't change the feel a whole lot. I've messed around with some really heavy putter shafts over 150 grams. definitely changes the feel of the putter a little bit, but this keeps it pretty much the same, and I like the stiffness of it. If you're somebody who's got like a really quick poppy stroke, you may notice a little more flex in this than I do. I'm not saying my tempo is great by any means or anything like that, but my putting stroke is a little slower, a little more deliberate, and I like the way that this matches up well with it. Where they say if somebody's got a really long and slow deliberate stroke, they want a little softer shaft for added feel. I think this is a good middle ground where you're going to get that stiffness. You're not going to get that shaft kind of droop or anything like that. The torque's low, so the face is going to stay square to the target. You're going to get all that without it being crazy stiff, and maybe getting a little either more vibration or a little different feel out of the putter. But overall, really impressed with it. I think it's really solid. I think if you basically gave me this or the Fuji MC 115, man, it's really going to be close, because I think these two kind of play on a similar stiffness. They're both pretty stout, but they're not rebar, and they both offer really good feel. Really good feel, slightly softer, a little more responsiveness out of them than you would expect. But between those two, I think it's really close. I think it would basically come down to maybe a little bit of feel. I think this one maybe just is a touch more crisp, where the Fuji Curve is maybe just a hair more muted than this one. So I think they're really close. I would love to kind of put them both in the same head and be able to kind of swap back and forth. There's just not an easy way for me to do that. But this thing is really solid, and at $150, it's definitely a cheaper alternative than some of the other options out there, while still getting really good performance out of it. So, really impressed with the Tour GPS. I think KBS did a great job with this thing. It's pretty cool. You can order some colors, match, contrast your putter, your paint fill, head cover, whatever, grip. You can kind of mix, match, do all that. But a really nice putter shaft. I was really impressed. I think it's going to stay in that putter for a little while. I might pull it for a little bit. I mean, I've got, like I said, I've got a couple other putter shafts to mess around with, but I think it's going to pretty much stay in that putter. Maybe move on to something. I don't know. We'll just see. It depends on what putter I'm going to keep playing. I don't know if I'm going to tear apart the Bettinardi just because it's kind of the gamer. But I've been messing around with the PXG Bat Attack and this 5K and some other putters. I don't know if I'm going to venture into pulling a shaft out of the lab, the Mez 1 Max. That looks like kind of a tough job. I don't know. I've never done one, so maybe we'll see. But putting one in there can be interesting, kind of replace the stock Acro one out of that. But it definitely is something that I'm going to mess with more, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed playing with it. I think it definitely enhanced this putter just a little bit and made me like it a little bit more. So it's a putter that the more I use it, and I keep using it a lot because I'm swapping all these shafts out of it, I've been a big fan. So anyway, I know the show's a little short, but that's all I've got today. If you want, please follow me on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod. If you want to watch on YouTube, search Golf 3X Radio, and wherever you're listening on a podcast, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. It really helps out. So hopefully you guys have a good week. I'm going to play some golf hopefully today and maybe this weekend. And hopefully you guys have a good week, and we'll talk next week.